There's a reason you were born into this world with breath in your lungs and fire in your spirit. It wasn't to merely survive. It wasn't to blend in. It was to win. But winning not in the shallow, fleeting way the world defines it. Not trophies. Not applause. Real winning. The kind that echoes through time, that leaves behind a legacy, that turns your name into something more than just letters on a birth certificate. You were meant to build, to create, to rise. But here's the problem. Somewhere along the way, someone convinced you to act small, to silence that inner roar, to settle. And it worked. They told you not to dream too big, not to want too much, not to aim too high. And you believed them. But let me ask you something. If the universe, God, or whatever force you believe in, went to the trouble of giving you life, potential, imagination, the power to think and feel and choose, then what makes you think you were put here just to play it safe? No, you were meant to win. But you've got to act like it. You've got to wake up like your future depends on every decision you make. You've got to walk into the world like you own your vision. Because the truth is, no one's going to hand you the crown. You've got to forge it. Melt your doubts in fire. Shape your pain into purpose. And wear your scars like armor. Winners, they aren't born. They are made. Made in the dark. Made in the grind. Made in the days when everything in them says quit, and they still choose to rise. Now listen to me carefully. Winning is a mindset. A way of thinking that says, I will not be broken. It's not arrogance. It's not ego. It's conviction. It's knowing that everything you need to succeed is already inside you, buried under fear, self-doubt, and the lies you've been told since you were young. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times, and every time he failed, people laughed. They mocked him. They told him to stop, but Edison didn't stop, because he wasn't just working on a light bulb, he was working on a belief that said, I'm not leaving this earth until I turn the impossible into reality. And that's what you need right now. Not just a goal, a belief. Belief is the oxygen of achievement. Without it, your dreams suffocate. With it, your entire world changes. Look around. Every great monument, every invention, every empire that was ever built started with one person who believed they were meant to win. So what about you? You say you want success, but do you believe you're worthy of it? You say you want change, but are you acting like change is already yours? You say you're tired of living small, then why are you still shrinking? Stand up. Right now. Stand in the mirror if you have to. And remind yourself, I was born with the power to shift reality. I was not made to blend in. I was made to break the mold. This world will remember me, not for what I took, but for what I gave, built, and became. Because belief without action is just fantasy, and action without belief is a cage. But when you combine the two, you become a force. So from this moment forward, act like you were meant to win. Move like it, speak like it, work like it, pray like it, fight like it. Because deep down, you already know the truth. You're not average. You're not here to be another face in the crowd. You're here to dominate your lane. You're here to lead. And that journey, it starts with how you see yourself. A man who thinks he's beaten already is. A man who believes he can conquer the mountain already has. Because success doesn't start with money, it doesn't start with connections. It starts with a thought, a belief. That's the foundation. Every empire you admire, every success story you quote, every legend you idolize, they all started with one thing, an unshakable inner world. Napoleon Hill said, whatever the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve. But most people never get past the first two steps. They conceive, they dream, they hope, but they don't believe. Why? Because belief comes with responsibility. Once you believe something is possible, you no longer have an excuse not to pursue it. See, it's easier to say, maybe I wasn't born for this. Maybe I'm not lucky enough. Maybe it's not in my destiny. But winners, they don't say maybe. They say must. I must win. I must build. I must become the person I was born to be. Not because it's guaranteed, but because the alternative is unacceptable. Let me ask you something. How long will you keep living beneath your calling? How long will you delay your greatness out of fear of failure, rejection, or judgment? How long will you stay silent when the world desperately needs your voice, your vision, your impact? The mind of a winner is different. Where most people see obstacles, winners see challenges. Where most see failure, winners see feedback. Where most break down, winners break through. It's not about being smarter. It's not about having all the answers. It's about making a decision, a soul-level decision, that no matter what comes, you will not fold. Understand this truth: you do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. If you want power, become powerful inside. If you want wealth, train your mind in abundance. If you want respect, live with integrity and stop negotiating with your lesser self. This is not about pretending. This is about becoming. You become what you practice. You become what you repeat. You become what you tolerate. So if you've been tolerating mediocrity, if you've been practicing weakness, if you've been repeating the language of fear, shame, and limitation, that stops now, because the mind of a winner is forged in fire, in the furnace of rejection, in the silence of discipline, in the battlefield of decisions made when no one's watching. This is where the inner revolution begins. You have to train your mind like a soldier, not once a week, not when you feel inspired, every single day. You don't rise when the world claps for you. You rise when you clap for yourself in secret, when you look in the mirror, despite the flaws, despite the past, despite the pain, and say, I'm still in the fight. Because winners, they don't wait for permission. They give themselves the assignment. They don't say, I'll start when I'm ready. They say, I'll start now and become ready along the way. Yeah, and this is where most people fail. They wait for confidence. They wait for clarity. They wait for motivation. But winners know confidence comes from action. Clarity comes from movement. Motivation comes from momentum. You don't feel your way into success. You act your way into it. So stop playing mental games with yourself. Stop asking, what if I fail? Start asking, what if I win beyond anything I ever imagined? What if your pain has been preparing you? What if your failure was a stepping stone, not a stop sign? What if everything that tried to break you was only building the weapon inside of you? Your mind is your greatest asset or your greatest prison. It can lift you into the heavens or bury you in your own excuses. So make the decision now to train your thoughts, to guard your focus, to speak with power, to act like you were meant to win. Because you were. Discipline is not punishment. It's not restriction. It's not something you have to do. It's something you own. The undisciplined man might taste freedom, but he will never hold it, because freedom without structure is chaos, and greatness without order crumbles. Napoleon Hill said, self-discipline begins with the mastery of your thoughts. If you don't control what you think, you can't control what you do. And if you can't control what you do, you'll always serve someone who can. Let that settle. You'll either be ruled by your inner king or by every outer circumstance that knocks at your door. Discipline isn't sexy. It doesn't trend on social media. No one claps when you're waking up early, grinding in silence, reading while others scroll, sacrificing pleasure for purpose. But that's the secret. Winners don't need applause to act. They don't need an audience to build. They don't wait for motivation. They create it through movement, through momentum, through morning after morning of relentless consistency. Because every time you choose discipline, you're casting a vote for your future self. You're voting for the man you're becoming, not the man you were, not the man your past tries to remind you of, but the man who walks with vision in his eyes and fire in his chest. Discipline is the edge. It's the separation. It's the unseen advantage. While others hit snooze, you rise. While others complain, you execute. While others break, you bend, but never fold. Because discipline isn't something you force. It's something you decide. It's the inner code of high performers. It's the promise you keep to yourself when nobody's watching. It's the weapon that slices through laziness, procrastination, and weakness. Understand this: a man without discipline may be talented. He may be gifted. He may be charismatic, but he will never last. Because storms come, failure visits, doubt knocks, and when they do, discipline is the only gate strong enough to hold the line. Your dreams are not waiting for your convenience. They don't care about your comfort. They respond only to one language: commitment. And commitment is proven in the days when quitting looks like relief, in the moments where nobody believes but you, in the hours where you question whether it's all worth it, and still show up. The man destined for greatness doesn't make decisions based on mood. He makes them based on mission. That's what separates the amateurs from the kings. So let me be clear: if you're tired of starting over, tired of being average, tired of living in cycles of almost success, you must build the muscle of relentless self-discipline. Stop negotiating with weakness. Stop making deals with the voice that says, it's okay to skip today. It's just one time. You deserve a break. No. You don't deserve a break until you break the old version of you, until the old you is buried, and the new you, the disciplined, focused, razor-sharp version of you rises. Do you understand this is war? A war against delay, against laziness, against mediocrity. And if you don't dominate that war daily, you will be dominated. There is no neutral. You are either building your destiny or watching someone else live theirs. So wake up early, train when you're tired, work when it's boring, say no when it's hard, and move with the mindset that you deserve what you're building because you've earned it. You don't get to act like a winner until you train like one, think like one, work like one, live like one. So when people see you win, they'll think it's luck. They'll say it was timing. But you'll know it was discipline. No king walks without a vision. No empire is built without a blueprint. And no destiny is fulfilled by accident. Napoleon Hill declared, "Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve." But here's the truth no one tells you. You don't rise because you wish. You rise because your vision becomes a non-negotiable law in your life. A law you don't break. A law you live by. A law that defines every choice, every action, every second of your day. Most people walk around with vague ideas. I just want to be successful. I want to make more money. I want to be happier. But there is no power in vague dreams. The universe doesn't move for maybe. It moves for must. Your vision must be clear. It must be specific. It must be so strong that it refuses to let you sleep in. So bold that it makes fear feel like a joke. So real in your mind that you feel like a liar every time you don't act in alignment with it. Winners don't just dream. They obsess. They see what isn't yet real and walk like it already exists. They move like soldiers of destiny. And when the world doubts them, mocks them, ignores them, they double down because they know vision backed by belief creates reality. But belief is not natural. Belief is built. It's constructed in silence, reinforced in solitude, protected in hardship. You think belief is automatic. It's not. It's earned every time you take action when you're scared. Every time you stand tall in front of rejection. Every time you build when no one sees, trusts, or understands your path. People with small visions can afford small disciplines. But people with great visions, they walk differently. They don't wait for support. They command it through action. They don't complain about their situation. They rise above it through clarity. They don't let fear stop them. They use it as fuel to move faster. Because when you see it in your mind, when you've written it down, when it becomes your law, you no longer ask if it will happen. You ask when. And in that mindset, everything shifts. You start speaking differently, walking differently, choosing differently. Not because you're pretending, but because you belong to the future you're creating. Because you are already him, the man who made it. The man who did not break, the man who stared into the chaos and declared, "This is mine. Let the world settle. Let others compromise. Let average men argue about limits. But not you. You've seen too much. You've felt the fire. You've touched the edge of what's possible. So now, every move you make must answer to one question. Does this align with my vision? If not, it's a no. No to distractions. No to temporary pleasure. No to people who drain you. No to paths that take you away from your purpose. Because when your vision becomes law, you don't break it for anything. Not your fear, not your friends, not even your past. Listen, your future is waiting at the other end of your full commitment. Not half, not 75%, not I'll try for a few months. A full, ruthless, fire-breathing commitment. That's what it takes to carve your name into history. That's what it takes to build something that lasts longer than you. That's what it takes to become legend. So decide, are you still wishing for the life you want? Or are you finally ready to walk like a man who's meant to win? Because from this point forward, there are no more excuses. No more small steps. No more doubt. You have the vision. You have the fire. You have the breath of destiny on your neck. Now all that's left is for you to move. There is a moment in every man's life where he must look in the mirror and admit, I am not yet who I must become. And that realization is not weakness. It's the birth of greatness. Napoleon Hill warned us, success requires no apologies. Failure permits no alibis. Let that echo in your soul, because today is the day you stop making excuses for the man you used to be, the man who played it safe, the man who hid his voice, the man who doubted his own reflection. That man is done. The version of you that lets fear delay your action, buried. The version that waits for others to validate your steps, gone. The version that wakes up tired, Unsure, distracted, erased. From this moment forward, you are reborn as the man who walks with certainty, as the man who speaks with purpose, as the man who breathes as if every second is war. Because here's the brutal truth: you don't get the life you want by thinking positive. You get it by becoming the person who commands it, and becoming him requires death. The death of old habits, the death of soft thoughts, the death of everything that kept you mediocre. There is no growth without identity shift. Napoleon Hill called it the definiteness of purpose, the power of becoming so focused, so intentional that nothing survives in your world except your future. Let this burn into your mind. You cannot win the game of kings while playing with the rules of cowards. You must rewrite your code, reprogram your nervous system, train your mind to obey your commands, because for years you've been ruled by emotions, fear, laziness, doubt, distraction, and every time you obeyed them, you strengthened their grip. You trained your brain to follow weakness. But today we flip the switch. You will walk into discomfort and call it home. You will reject instant pleasure and call it discipline. You will act with courage even while your hands shake and call that honor. You are not here to cope with life. You are here to command it. Understand this: the world reflects your identity. If you see struggle everywhere, chaos everywhere, pain everywhere, it's not the world. It's the lens you're wearing. So switch the lens. Start seeing yourself as a builder, a conqueror, a man sculpted by pain, refined by fire, and guided by something higher than comfort. You weren't made to survive this world. You were made to remake it. But that power, it only activates when you take full ownership. Not 99%, 100%. That means no blaming, no complaining, no pretending. You take the weight of your life and you carry it with pride, because that's what men do. That's what warriors do. That's what you must do. Rewire your thoughts. Rewire your behavior. Rewire your story. From now on, when the voice of weakness whispers, "You're tired," take it easy. You reply, "That version of me is dead." When the voice says, "Just do it tomorrow," you grow. "I'm not him anymore." When the world tries to pull you back into the old patterns, you stand firm and roar. "This is my time. This is my rise. This is my reign." Because nothing changes until you decide. Not wish, not want. Decide that you will no longer bow to the patterns of your past, that you will walk like the man who has already won, that you will act like you were meant to win, because you were. It was never about motivation. It was always about identity. Now take a breath, not as the man you were, but as the man you are becoming. The world isn't ready for him, but he's ready for the world, and he's coming. You want to know what separates the great from the forgotten? It's not talent. It's not intelligence. It's not even luck. It's just the great ones walk like it's already done. They don't hope it happens. They don't wait for signs. They don't ask for permission. They move like the outcome is inevitable, because deep inside they've already decided, "I will win." Before the world saw them rise, they saw it first in their mind. Before the world clapped, they clapped for themselves in silence. Before the rewards, they endured the rejections, the silence, the storms, and kept walking. Why? Because they weren't chasing the result. They were walking in alignment with their identity. And that identity, it said, "I was meant to win." Napoleon Hill said it clearly. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But most men stop at conceive. Fewer get to believe. Almost none push through to achieve. You want to be different. You want to rise? Then start walking like you've already earned it. Not arrogant. Not fake, but locked in. Unshakable. Laser-focused. Unwilling to be anyone other than the man you were designed to be. There is no outside permission required. Not from family. Not from society. Not even from your past. Your birth certificate was the only green light you ever needed. You came into this world to win, to build, to dominate your lane. Not to coast. Not to doubt. Not to drift. So from this day forward, when you walk into a room, walk like a man who is carving his legacy. When you speak, speak like every word is a brick in your empire. When you wake up, rise like the world is waiting for your impact. Because it is. There are lives you will change. There are doors only you can break through. There are chains in your bloodline that only you can shatter. But not if you play small. Not if you live in memory instead of vision. Not if you bow to the soft voice of someday. You don't have time for someday. You have today. And if you dare to act like it's already done, if you dare to show up like a champion before the medals, if you dare to work like the deal's already signed, you won't need to chase the dream. The dream will chase you, because energy doesn't lie. People feel it. the world responds to it. Opportunities align to it. And when your energy says, I am him, and I'm coming, the universe moves, it bends. It clears paths. It opens rooms no one thought you belonged in, because now you own the room, and not because someone handed you a crown, but because you built it day by day, thought by thought, action by action. The crown doesn't make the king. The mindset does. So stop waiting to be crowned. Act like you were meant to win, even when you're broke, even when you're tired, even when nobody sees it yet, especially then, because that's where greatness grows, in the dark, in the lonely reps, in the unseen effort, in the relentless belief that you were called to more. So here's your challenge. Walk like a king, with nothing in your hands yet. Speak like a leader, before the world listens. Work like a warrior, before the battle starts. Because when you act like the man who's already won, you become him. And when you become him, the world follows. Now go. Wake up tomorrow with fire. Walk into your day like it's already yours. Move like it's already done. Because it is. You were meant to win. Now act like it. So, if no one told you today, let this be your reminder: you are not average. You were not born to blend in. You were designed to rise, to build, to lead, to dominate your space. And it begins the moment you decide to act like you were meant to win. Because you were, but now it's time to prove it. So get up, lock in, silence the doubt, silence the noise, and go do what only you can do. You were not put on this earth to play small. You were built to conquer it. Now go win, like it's already done. This is Alpha Focus. If you're ready to level up your mindset, your habits, and your results, subscribe. Turn on notifications and come back tomorrow, because we're just getting started.